Hi, it's Ahmed. I'm alive.
Hi, it's Ahmed. I'm alive.
I'm trying to stay alive so that I can keep telling the stories of my people in Gaza.
I was born in Gaza and my dream was to make travel videos all over the world.
In 7th of October, everything needs change.
We will exact a price that will be remembered by them for decades to come.
We are not okay. We are not okay.
The world hear us, but nobody care about us.
Maybe this is the last time I will speak, or this is the last video ever I will film. Please, don't forget me.
Well, Ahmad Alive, if you have been watching that, really, your heart would actually go out. And this is the reason why we are talking with the co-founder of Scene TV. We're speaking with Yusuf Omar about Ahmad Alive, because this is clearly brave. This is a new Gaza documentary that is going to feature at Scene TV at the Film Fest as well. And really, bravery at its best as well. Yusuf Omar, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my brother. Welcome and jazakallah for your time.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you so much for having me on Salam Media. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, we're clearly excited, and I think we're even more excited to talk about this new Gaza documentary. And, I just want to quote yourself where you speak about the Western media coverage of Gaza and compared to, obviously, Ahmad Alive, compared to this documentary. I'm sure it is chalk and cheese, a huge difference between what we see in Western media versus what this documentary is truly all about.
I came from traditional media. I used to work at CNN International. I've been a journalist and foreign correspondent for 11 years. And to be honest, I'm almost embarrassed to say that when I look at the current state of journalism today, it is biased. It is not giving people an accurate perspective of what's going on around the world. It's not contextualizing and explaining an occupation that started long before October 7th. And unfortunately, because Israel have maintained a ban on international journalists entering Gaza, we don't hear what's happening on the ground. We have to rely on citizen journalists to show us the horrific war crimes that are taking place. And I think that's why the Ahmad Alive documentary, which we're premiering here in South Africa, is so powerful, because we hear directly from the perspective of a young man on the ground.
Well, definitely. In fact, and just talking about Ahmed, and clearly courageous and bravery in every sense of the word, because this is exactly what it has happened. And I think more importantly, it did not require a fancy film crew. It did not require a multi-million rand production. This is now a man with just his phone in his hand captured this brutal, this vicious, this genocide that has unfolded in Gaza.
Exactly. I think traditional media held a monopoly on the ability to tell stories. You needed big broadcast cameras and satellites and all that kind of stuff. And the mobile phone has completely destroyed that, right? The old maxim was that if the pen is mightier than the sword, I believe a mobile phone is then our atomic agent of change. And it's through the mobile device that Ahmed has been able to show us his life. He's been able to show us a young man who, at the age of 14, had his first house bombed by the IDF. Later went on to become a vlogger, tell beautiful stories of travel and food in Gaza and tourism and culture, and really showed us the beauty of his culture. And then, of course, post-October 7, see his house get bombed, see him become a refugee, moving between the streets and hospitals and living in tents. And it's just so powerful to hear this real, raw story. I think a lot of people have lost faith and trust in media, and they just want to hear directly from the source. They want to hear directly from the people on the ground. And that's what mobile phones enable people like Ahmed to do.
Yes. And also, Yusuf, what you're saying is people want to see the real, raw story. And I think, this just speaks volumes in its own, because here we're talking about the hard facts. We're talking about the naked truth We're not talking about anything that has been doctored, nothing that has been edited. Just pure, raw stuff, telling it like it is. And I think in the case of Gaza, this is exactly what is needed to shake the world and to wake up the world as well.
Exactly. I really, really believe that storytelling is one of the most important and powerful things in the world right now. If you're listening to this right now and you say, okay, what can we do for Palestine? How can we end this occupation? I believe story is the most important thing. Story is what brings people together to bring about change. Story is what can convince millions or billions of people around the world to be chanting free, free Palestine. Story is what makes people realize that this occupation is evil and inherently unfair and a colonial construct. Story is such a powerful thing. And that's why at Scene TV, the Ahmad Alive documentary and other investments that we're making in Palestine through the various storytellers that we work with, we've done over 200 videos from Palestine, is so important. We really believe if we can tell great stories, real stories from the ground, we can change the hearts and minds of people. And eventually that convinces people to change who they vote for and elect into power. It's just incredible how powerful good storytelling can be.
Yes, alhamdulillah. And also, I think just looking at it from your side, Scene TV, and all credit obviously must go to Scene TV for embracing Ahmad's Alive and his stories. And again, I know you've got a huge, alhamdulillah, you've got a huge subscriber base as well. And this is going to be a story that is going to be so powerful and it's going to reach millions right across the entire world for a variety of reasons. Number one is, it tells the story the way it is, but also from an empowerment point of view, from an education perspective, from an information perspective. There is just so much value that a documentary of this sort actually brings to the viewer and the listener.
Jazakallah. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, if you look at what a lot of traditional media have done, they've really lost the human narrative. They talk in big numbers. 30,000 people are being killed. You see big shots of rubble, but you forget the humans. And you start to think about, or they frame Palestinians as being so different to you. They're this other people all the way over there. They're nothing like you. And when you get into a documentary like Ahmad Alive, what you realize is he's just like any other young person. He has the same aspirations, the same ambitions. He watches the same TV shows. Like every other young person around the world, he just wants to get married, have a great job, travel, anything that you can expect any young person around the world to aspire to. And I think that is the power of this. When you get these first-person accounts, you move beyond the statistics and you move to the human narrative. And if we get that right, what we do is we create more empathy and we create more understanding. And I hope audiences from Israel to the US, to the UK will say, hey, actually, this Ahmed guy, he's not so different to me. He's not scary. He's not trying to take over the world and kill me. No, this guy's a normal guy. And actually, he just happens to have been born in some pretty terrible circumstances. He happens to have been born in the world's biggest open-air prison. And maybe, just maybe, that is an unsustainable system. And we need to revisit that and start having conversations with our politicians and start having conversations with our leaders and start protesting and taking steps to bring about change.
Well, Yusuf, I think what you're saying is so true, because I think at the end of the day, it's that humanity in us. And that actually makes it very, very personal. It brings about that human element that here you are talking. You're not talking just about a number. You're not talking about a statistic. You speak of over 30,000 deaths, so many thousand injured, all of that. But it becomes very, very personal, especially, I would say even for Scene TV. It became personal for me. And I must admit, a few months ago, because with Salam Media, we speak about humanitarian journalism. And when did it become personal to me is the day I found out that just 2 months prior to October the 7th, I had spoken to somebody and I saw a tweet or I saw something on X that this woman was actually killed. And I said, I just spoke to this woman 2 months ago. And now it's become personal for me because you've spoken to the person. You know the person. And I suppose this is exactly what Ahmad Alive is also intended to do. And this is the reason why Scene TV is promoting this. And I'm sure even from a content point of view, people can internalize, people can actually make this a personal thing. And this is where the whole question surrounding empowerment, empathy, all of that, and embracing, and more importantly, supporting the Palestinian cause for liberation.
Absolutely. And this is just one of many stories. I won't give away too many spoilers, but we're working more broadly on a lot of content out of Palestine. I think sometimes when we approach storytelling in Palestine and other marginalized communities around the world, oppressed communities, we do it from a position sometimes of pity and feeling sorry for people. We're actually trying to flip that in a way. A lot of the stories that you'll see coming out of Scene TV are actually trying to create awe and inspiration. So we will do stories about people that are doing parkour and breakdancing out of Gaza. We'll do stories about artists out of Gaza. We'll do stories about a chef that is preparing incredible meals, even though they barely have any food out of Gaza. I think sometimes if you want to humanize a story, you don't just have to take it from the perspective of sympathy and pity. You have to take it from the perspective of innovation and awe. I mean, one of the films, obviously Ahmad Alive is the main feature that we're going to be showcasing across South Africa at these various screenings. But we're also going to be playing other films. And one of the films I think audiences are really going to enjoy is about a young kid. They call him the Newton of Gaza. And as he found ended up in a refugee camp in Rafah, he is a really young kid. He basically put a wind turbine up on the top of the tent, and he was able to generate electricity. And I think those kinds of stories travel even further online because, they challenge one's assumptions. People think refugee camp, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, no, actually, in this refugee camp, there's potentially the next Steve Jobs, the next Elon Musk, this really bright young kid who's doing these amazing things.
Well, it is. In fact, I think now that you mention it, I recall seeing a video clip of somebody, I think, riding a bicycle, or it is one of the cycles, and I think connecting and trying to obviously power up a cell phone as well, with some connection and those type of things. So, these are obviously the type of innovative stories that we talk about, and it's actually amazing. Let's talk about the screenings in South Africa. Now, I believe there are screenings taking place in the major cities, Yusuf.
Absolutely, and I'd love to see you at one. Let me start by saying thank you to the people of South Africa. There's no better place to screen other than South Africa. This is the country that has shown the most solidarity for the Palestinian liberation struggle. We're really excited to have Ahmed here as well. We've flown him in from Gaza. He's going to be joining us at the screening. So people that come through will have the opportunity to meet Ahmed and ask him questions and hear his experience firsthand. We were shocked to learn that within 48 hours, we sold out all of the tickets in Durban, Cape Town, and Johannesburg. But Shukr, I'm excited to announce right here that we've got a new screening that we've just announced. Durban, 12th of April at the Pavilion New Metro. We're going to have a screening at 4:30 p.m. That is this Friday at 4:30 p.m. There is one final screening happening in Durban and in Cape Town on the 14th of April at 4:30 p.m. at Canal Walk. Again, that is Durban on Friday at 4:30 p.m. and Sunday in Cape Town at 4:30 p.m. And you can get those tickets at scene.tv, www.seen.tv. 100% of all of the tickets goes to Gift of the Givers. 100% of all the tickets goes to Gaza.
Yes, and also not forgetting Johannesburg. I see April the 13th has been earmarked for Johannesburg.
Absolutely. We've got April the 13th in Johannesburg at 7:30 p.m. It's happening at the Nelson Mandela Foundation. We've unfortunately completely sold out. Joburg have just been unbelievable at, they really showed up in numbers. But you know what? Get in touch with me on Instagram if you really need to be there, and I'll try my best to try and make it happen.
No problem. Well, Yusuf, I must say it's been an absolute pleasure. In fact, I've done the Iftar Drive program throughout the month of Ramadan, and clearly this is one of the highlights for me during this month of Ramadan. On the last day of Ramadan, alhamdulillah, to have this honor of actually having this discussion with you and this interview right here on Salam Media. And clearly, it's left me inspired. It's left me energized as well, inshallah. And we will continue. We will continue regardless. At the end of the day, for our brothers, our sisters in Palestine, we will continue, inshallah. And we will work, and make absolutely sure that in our lifetime, inshallah, we see the liberation of Palestine. We see the liberation of our brothers and sisters in Palestine. We see the liberation of Masjid al-Aqsa. And that is our prayer. That is our dua as we head towards the end of this month of Ramadan.
Inshallah, great stories. We are keep telling stories, educating people about this occupation, educating them about what's happening there. I think it's one of the most important things that we can do. So any effort that we can make as a community to empower people in Gaza, to empower people in the West Bank, to share what's happening right now, I think is a really important thing to do. Thank you so much for your time.
Ameen. Jazakallah khairan to you as well, Yusuf, and have yourself a blessed Eid as well, inshallah. And once again, shukran for the interview. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yusuf Omar, co-founder of Scene TV, was us this afternoon right here on Salam Media, and we're talking about Ahmad Alive, and the demand, alhamdulillah, has been great, and there have been second screenings. We see right on my screen right now in Durban, the 12th of April, 4:30, and at 6:30 p.m. in Cape Town, 14th of April, 4:30 and 6:30 p.m. Tickets available at www.scene.tv, and also at in Johannesburg on the 13th, inshallah. So quite a bit to look forward to immediately after the day of Eid here in South Africa, the major cities. Ahmad Alive right here in South Africa. The time is just gone 4:31. We're going to go for a break. We come back. We still have got a fair amount of ground to cover right until around close to 5:30 when I hand over to Maulana Yunus Kawanga, who will take you to the final iftar drive for this afternoon right here on Salam Media on the 30th of Ramadan.